Tonight, you'll walk down a street and pass 100 people. You won't talk to most of them. Your shoulders will tense slightly with a few of them, and with one or two, your heart rate will spike for no reason you can explain. But the real answer is far stranger than nerves. Your brain is running a program that is 200,000 years old, and it doesn't know the difference between a crowded sidewalk and a dark forest. Start with the basics. Your brain has one job above all others. Not happiness, not comfort, survival. And for almost all of human history, survival meant living in small groups of 50 to 150 people. You knew every face, every voice, every walk, every laugh, every smell. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar studied this number across primates and human societies and found it again and again, around 150 individuals. That's the size of group your brain evolved to track. Inside that group, a stranger was almost a contradiction in terms. If a face wasn't familiar, it meant one thing: someone from outside. And outside was where the danger lived. Outside was other tribes competing for the same berries, the same water, the same caves. Outside was where predators waited. Your ancestors who treated unfamiliar faces with caution lived longer. The ones who didn't often didn't get the chance to pass on their genes. So a switch got built, a fast one, faster than thinking. Here's how it works. When you see an unfamiliar face, a small almond-shaped structure deep in your brain called the amygdala fires before your conscious mind even catches up. Neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux mapped this pathway decades ago, showing that threat signals can reach the amygdala through a low road that bypasses higher reasoning entirely. Your body can start reacting to a stranger before you've even finished deciding whether they're a stranger. That's why a new face in a quiet elevator can make your stomach drop. Not because anything is wrong, but because some ancient part of you is asking a question it has asked for thousands of generations. Is this one of us or one of them? Now here's where it gets strange. This system wasn't built for cities. Your ancestors might encounter a handful of unfamiliar faces in an entire month, maybe a year. Today you might see 1,000 strangers before lunch. Same brain, same wiring, a completely different world, and your amygdala doesn't get a memo about population density. It just keeps running the old program over and over dozens of times an hour, every single day. Psychologist Robert Zajonc ran a series of experiments in the 1960s that revealed something fascinating about this. He showed people unfamiliar images repeatedly without ever telling them what the images meant. And simply through repeated exposure, people began to rate those same images more positively. He called it the mere exposure effect. Familiarity itself, with no other information at all, was enough to lower the brain's guard. Think about what that means. The first time you saw your now favorite coffee shop barista, some small part of your brain filed them under unknown. The 10th time, that filing changed. Not because you learned anything important about them, just because your brain had seen them enough times to stop treating them as a threat. This is also why moving to a new city can feel quietly exhausting, even when nothing bad happens. Every face is unscored. Every interaction asks your amygdala to run its ancient calculation over and over with no familiar faces to provide relief. Your conscious mind knows you're safe. Your older, faster brain hasn't caught up yet. But there's a twist inside the twist. This same system that makes you wary of strangers also makes you capable of something remarkable: trust. Because here's the thing about that ancient group of 150 people. Most of them started as strangers too. Every relationship you've ever had, every friend, every partner, every person you'd now trust with your life began as an unfamiliar face that your brain had to be convinced to stop flagging. Anthropologist Sarah Hrdy has argued that humans are unusual among primates because of something called alloparenting, the willingness of unrelated group members to care for each other's children. For that to work, for a baby to be handed to someone outside its immediate family, the brain had to be capable of rapidly reclassifying a stranger as safe. Not just tolerating them, trusting them with the most vulnerable thing a person has. So your brain isn't just a threat detector, it's a sorting machine, constantly asking, stranger or not stranger anymore. And the sorting happens faster than you'd think. Studies on first impressions, including work by psychologist Alexander Todorov, have found that people form judgments about a stranger's trustworthiness within a tenth of a second of seeing their face. A tenth of a second, long before a single word is spoken, which means, in a very real sense, you are being judged by strangers' brains constantly, and you are doing the exact same thing to them, right now, without choosing to. Here's the modern mirror. You've probably noticed that some places feel instantly different to be in. A small town where people nod at you on the street. A big city where eye contact feels almost taboo. That's not just culture. That's two different versions of the ancient program responding to two very different environments. In a small town, the math is closer to what your brain expects. Fewer unfamiliar faces, more repetition, more chances for the mere exposure effect to do its quiet work, turning strangers into neighbors. In a city, the math breaks. Too many unscored faces, all day, every day. And so people develop something researchers have called civil inattention, a studied non-acknowledgement, where city dwellers learn to look past each other, not out of rudeness, but as a kind of survival adaptation to an environment with far more strangers than the brain was built to process. Sociologist Irving Goffman described this behavior decades ago, and it shows up almost everywhere dense populations exist. So the next time you're in a crowd and you feel that flicker, that tiny, almost imperceptible tension when an unfamiliar face gets too close too quickly, that's not a flaw. That's not anxiety in the clinical sense. That's a system built for a world of 150 faces doing its best in a world of millions. And the next time a stranger becomes someone you know, a coworker, a neighbor, someone you used to just nod at, who you now wave to by name, notice that too. Because that shift, however small it feels, is your brain running the oldest software it has, the same software that once decided who was safe to share a fire with. Tonight, you'll walk past 100 people, most of them strangers. But somewhere in that crowd, today's stranger is tomorrow's familiar face, and your brain has been quietly waiting for that to happen since long before you were born.